viewers, welcome to yet another episode of Apna Kanuni Adhikar. In this channel, you get to see the right kind of news with the right kind of analysis. Because though I'm not a journalist, I've seen many a times that the professional ones serve the news in their own way and they paint the analysis green and blue to suit their business goals. But here, there's no color. It's all white and straight. Before we go ahead, those of you who are new to my channel, please subscribe to my channel so that I feel enthused to make more and more videos. Please click the subscribe button on the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Come, let's get started. The law might give you and grant you 1,000 fundamental rights, but there are always a bunch of unscrupulous people who are always eager to take it away from you. In fact, they don't want you to know what the government is doing, what the ministers are doing, what the governmental agencies are doing, what the bureaucrats are doing. I mean, it's all kept in a totally shut black box. You are correct. I am talking about the Right to Information Act. It seems that the Saffron Gang totally hates the Right to Information Act. But if you go back a few years, you will see that when the RTI Act was implemented in the time of the UPA government, the RTI activists were filing thousands of applications from bringing out information about the Congress. And this Saffron Gang, when they were not in the power in the central, they were using that information to slaughter Congress like anything. No, I'm not trying to support Congress. It's a statement of affairs. And the same Saffron Gang, when they came to the power in the central, they just started hating the RTI Act. Amazing, isn't it? What a vote face. A quick look at Gujarat will tell you what the situation has been. Even after 9 years of introduction of the RTI Act, as of 2014, the Gujarat government was a laggard in implementing it in its own state. And now they're trying to implement the same Gujarat model all over India. After all, the Pradhan Sevak now rules India. He will try to implement the Gujarat model of the RTI Act all across India. And he is leaving no stone unturned to do that. When it comes to answering questions, they're just totally not interested. All that they want to do is to teach people how to hate one another. They want to teach the Hindus how to hate the Muslims and then how to get hatred back from the Muslims. They don't want people, they don't want the whole society, they don't want the communities to interact with one another. Because if the communities interact, they'll talk, they'll discuss. If they do that, they'll think. If they think, they'll ask questions. And that is what exactly the Saffron Gang hates. Do not ask questions, just keep shut. So they want to kill the RTI movement. Guys, do you know? Your right to information is a deemed fundamental right, which means though it's not directly a fundamental right, but it falls under the category of right to speech and expression and life and liberty. Various high courts in India, including the Supreme Court, has been repeatedly telling this over the years in a number of cases. But it seems nothing goes down into the ears of this Saffron Gang. They are completely deaf to this. Now let us see how some people are trying to kill the RTI movement. I'll go step by step. Step 1. Make sure that no one dares to become an RTI activist. 1 or 2 applications here or there is fine, but don't you try to become an activist. I mean, if the entire RTI movement is like a huge big tree, you will appreciate that the activists are like the branches and leaves and the nerves of the tree. And they are trying to cut down the branches and leaves and the nerves first. That's step 1. And now how are they doing it? Simple. Assault them, kidnap them, abduct them, harass them, do something by which they feel motivated to commit suicide. And if all that doesn't work, just do this and you know it. In fact, you know something, this has become a very age-old practice. It's not enough now for them because they found they should be doing more than that. I mean, you know and I know that a simple search in Google of RTI activists killed will bring out a huge list, a whole laundry list of the incidents. But before you do a search in Google, let me tell you that all the data do not come mainstream. Everything that happens do not get compiled. And in many cases, the police does not want to record an FIR and they want to pass off the thing as a suicide. So before you think that some data is good enough, just multiply it by a number of times. But that's the 18th century method. In the recent years and in the recent times, they have developed better methods and more legal methods of doing illegal work. Let's take a look at that. Now again, coming back to the same story of RTI being a big, huge tree. If the activists are the branches, the Act and the allied laws are the roots of the tree. Now they're trying to uproot the roots. They're trying to damage the roots. That's the latest game plan. Killing activists, passé, old, 18th century, bygone era, that everyone can do, that will be always there. Let's do something illegal in a legal manner. Let's show the world that you can do illegal things in the most legal manner so that no one can tell us anything. Come, let's see. In their second step of uprooting the RTI movement, they are diluting the RTI Act, the RTI rules, drafting new rules, and diluting all the allied laws that support the RTI movement. Come, let's look at it one by one. Now, what are the laws that are being changed? Changes are being brought about by which the RTI application of an applicant will become invalid if he dies. Think of it. It's information of a public nature. Someone has asked for the information for public good. If the applicant has died, why should the application become invalid? Put it up in a public website, maybe the RTI website. In fact, burying the application with the burial of the activist is something which is dangerous. I mean, that will become a short way. Killing an activist now will become a very short way of burying the application. Can you think of it in a democratic country? Number 2, your RTI application may be rejected if it is more than 500 words. Oh, come on. I have myself filed so many RTI applications, and in complicated matters I've seen that you first need to describe the thing and then ask questions. And you more often than not exceed 500 words. How can you limit me to 500 words? Allergy. They don't want to read, they don't want to answer. They don't want to read because they don't want to answer. And they want an excuse. They want a simple excuse as ridiculous as your application will be rejected if it's more than 500 words. Democracy. Making a mockery of democracy and making a mockery of democratic laws. This Saffron Gang only knows how to teach people to hate one another. Teach the Hindus to hate the Muslims and teach the Muslims to get even with the Hindus. Fight amongst yourselves. You know something? There was no animosity between these two communities pre-1940. It was the Brits who realized that the Hindus and Muslims put together becomes a huge force. And they wanted to rule India. So they wanted to divide India. That is why they started the Divide India movement, divide and rule. The Brits started it, and this Saffron Gang is adding fuel to that fire. Just make people fight in the name of religion, divide them, they'll not think, they'll not be united, and that's it. We rule the whole country. That's exactly what the Saffron Gang wants to do, and that's only that much that the Saffron Gang knows. Now let's look at the next change that they're making. The next one is even more dangerous. Now the proposition is that if an RTI applicant is not happy with the response that it has received from a particular department on an RTI application, he or she can go ahead and file an appeal. And obviously, if he has wanted to file an appeal, there is no reason for him to withdraw. And there was no provision in law for him to withdraw as well. Now, in the changed laws, a provision is being attempted to be made where the provision of withdrawing an appeal is being put in. Hey, come on. I wanted an information. I got it in a haphazard manner. I did not like it. I've gone into an appeal, and why should I withdraw? It's just not ridiculous. There's a huge trick in it. This is a way of threat. This is a way of giving a last chance. You know how? It's like saying, hey, you thought of filing an RTI application, we tolerated it. You filed it with the department, we still tolerated it and gave you some answer. And you have dared to now file an appeal. We don't think we can tolerate you any further. before we do anything more to you, we have made a provision to withdraw the appeal. You better withdraw, or else it's a threat. It's a legalized threat. It's a threat. It's a provisional threat that they're making by putting in a provision for withdrawal of appeal. Can you think of it? Can you think of the brain that is working behind this? The legal brain that is working behind this to do illegal activities under the veil of legality. Amazing, isn't it? And these are the people who rule us. Guys, perhaps you know or you may not know, there's something called a Whistleblowers Act. Yes, a Whistleblowers Act, which allows people, anyone who has any evidence or information of corruption in the government, to file an application with evidence and information to the concerned department. And for this, his own information, his own documents that he has and his own evidence that he has is good enough. He does not need any support from anywhere. And then the inquiry starts. This is called the Whistleblowers Act. And the Whistleblowers Act gives huge protections to the activists. Now in the RTI Act, there's something called Section 8, which lists out the things on which an RTI application cannot be filed, all in the name of the so-called sovereignty of India. They are using the tag sovereignty of India everywhere. So in the name of sovereignty of India, whether it relates to sovereignty of India or not, there are certain provisions which disallows you to file an RTI application. But in the Whistleblowers Act, there is no such provision. You can file an application for an inquiry and a corruption almost on anything. Now they are changing the Whistleblowers Act to bring in that restriction clause of the RTI Act and put it in the Whistleblowers Act, which means the Whistleblowers Act almost dies. It loses its teeth. It loses its effect. It loses its force. It loses its uniqueness, that it could have been applied for almost anything on everything under the sun. It loses its uniqueness, and they are purposely trying to do it so that the Whistleblowers Act no more remains a supportive act to the RTI Act. In fact, the Whistleblowers Act has been always considered to be a very strong act. Now the strength of the law and the act is being attempted to be purposely reduced. Yes, this Saffron Gang. The second change that is being put in place is that in terms of the Whistleblowers Act, you did not require any kind of information from any government authority before filing an application. If you had the evidence, if you had the information, you could file the application. Now they're trying to say, no, for all these purposes, you have to first file an application in the RTI Act, take the information which you already know from the department again, and then file it under the Whistleblowers Act. Ridiculous. So it's like saying a dead man, it's like saying an unwell person should first go to a dead person, ask for medicines, and if the dead person gives medicines, take the medicines or else die. They're as such spoiling the RTI Act. They're as such making amendments in the RTI Act, which is cutting the RTI Act into pieces. And then they are putting the applicants of the Whistleblowers Act under the RTI Act and asking the applicants to go first under the RTI Act and then come back to the Whistleblowers Act. Ridiculous. I mean, ridiculous is also perhaps an understatement. Yes, guys, this is exactly what is going on. And as I repeat, right to information is a deemed fundamental right. It squarely comes under your right of speech and expression and life and liberty. And that's how they are playing with it. Now the third step, the I don't care step. Simply, I don't care, as in I will not answer an RTI application. And for not answering an RTI application, I'll simply take shelter under Section 8 of the Act and say, oh, it hurts the sovereignty of India. That is exactly how applications are being rejected. Now, for such rejections on such false and frivolous reasons, the CIC's office can impose a penalty on the department. Yes, fine, they're paying it. The departments are happily paying the penalty because they know the amount of penalty that they're paying is peanuts compared to the value of the secret information of corruption that they're hiding. Simple. If I have to pay a penalty worth 3,000 to hide the information about corruption of 30,000 crores, it's better to pay 3,000, isn't it? They're happily paying the penalty. I mean, shameless. That's why I call this step I don't care. And if the departments think that the penalty has been wrongfully inflicted on them, they have every right to go to the High Court and have it waived off or file an appeal against it. But there are no stay orders from any high courts against any penalty orders imposed by the CIC, which means the departments care the least. That's why I'm saying I don't care. They care the least, one, for the penalty, two, for the money that they're paying as penalty, because they know that they're hiding because they know that they're hiding a lot. So paying a couple of thousands is quite okay as a price of hiding a huge amount of corrupt information. In 2016-17, the year of the great demonetization, the Union Ministry of Finance received the highest number of RTIs. And they were one of the departments which rejected the highest number of RTIs as well. Think of it. Has to be. Who rules the finance ministry? You know it. He doesn't want to answer. He just wants to talk. He just doesn't want to answer. Because if he answers, a lot many cats will come out of the bag. And next in rank is the Home Ministry. The top in rank in rejection of RTI applications in 2016-17 was the Union Ministry of Finance, and the second in rank is the Home Ministry. In 2016-17, the CIC imposed about more than 20 lakh rupees of penalties on different ministries, on departments. But who cares? And what is 18 to 20 lakhs as compared to saving their information for corruption of maybe how many thousand crores, God only knows. They were happy to pay for it. They happily shelled out the money because the Saffron Gang doesn't care. And now with the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act being legalized with 42 years of retrospective effect, they're floating in pounds and dollars. They really don't care. So that's the RTI saga, my friends. Your deemed fundamental right is being taken away from you. It's being snatched away from you. It's being killed, buried, murdered. And all attempts are being made so that the concept of RTI becomes an extinct proposition and just a matter of history. Nothing more than that. Share this video. Share this video as much as you want. People should get to know what is happening. People should get to know how they are being stabbed at the back. People should get to know how they are being gagged. People should get to know the kind of valuable rights that they are losing, that the Saffron Gang is taking away from them. Guys, if you have liked this video, please do not forget to press the subscribe button on the bottom right hand corner of the screen, and also share this video so that the countryman gets to know what is happening, how they are being fooled left, right and center. Thank you for watching. I'll come back with my next video very soon. Till then, stay happy, stay blessed. Namaskar and Jai Hind.